Our presentation is based on inductive and deductive teaching methods. And here are a list of our group members. Now, on to our topic. You may ask, what are inductive teaching methods? Inductive teaching method starts with specific observations and facts, and then draws general conclusions. This method is also known as bottom-up reasoning or inductive logic. Inductive reasoning is often used to generate hypotheses and develop new theories. Now, this type of teaching method is often used, or it is student based. It's a student based teaching method or student centered approach. Now, on to our deductive teaching methods. Deductive teaching methods starts with general information and facts and then draws specific conclusions. This method is also known as top-down reasoning. Deductive reasoning is more reliable than inductive reasoning, but the conclusion will be wrong if the initial premises are wrong. Now, with a deductive teaching method, it is more of a teacher-centered approach. Now I'll hand you over to my next colleague who will give you some examples of inductive and deductive teaching methods.
So in the process of inductive teaching, so this entails giving students or giving the learners very specific examples to follow. So you'll have them work a very specific sum, or you will give them a very specific scenario. And through the process of solving that and solving multiple such specific scenarios, they'll be able to grasp the general idea. So for example, if we're dealing with mathematics and we on the subject of trigonometry, we can give the students a bunch of examples concerning triangles. So calculate the angles of this, find the angles of that. And through that process, the students will learn that all angles, they will learn that they continuously, when they add up all these angles, it adds up to 180 degrees. And so they'll be induced that 180 degrees, every triangle has 180 degrees. So that's inductive teaching. Let's say we were talking about a subject more for lower grades, like primary school, if we're dealing with animals. If we can show them pictures of animals, so show them pictures of dogs, a cat, and a bird. And we keep showing different types of dogs, different breeds of dogs, cats, and birds. And they'll be able to make observation that, okay, all birds have feathers, or things like that. All cats have 4 legs. Cats are generally smaller than dogs. All types of observation could be made, which are the general rules. So if we look at deductive teaching deals more with, so you will give the students the general rule, and then they will then find how to apply that rule to specific scenarios. So for example, in maths, let's say you give them the formula to do something. For example, trigonometry again, we give them the formula to find the area of a triangle, rectangle, or so on. And then they will continuously apply that formula to different types of rectangles, different types of triangles, and they'll get proficient in it. And they learn it that way. So also, let's say we're dealing with English. You'll give them a rule, like a singular subject takes a singular verb, and then give them a bunch of sentences that are incorrect, and tell them, correct the sentence, make it better, and then they'll apply the rule and they'll grasp it that way.
Good afternoon, Miss. Good afternoon, colleagues. I will be presenting the advantages and disadvantages of the inductive and deductive teaching methods. My name is Tamar Charles. So the advantages of the inductive teaching method, it encourages active participation and critical thinking. In the inductive teaching method, It often involves activities where students directly interact with the material. This can be through experiments, observation, or problem-solving exercise. Another advantage of the inductive teaching method, it promotes deeper understanding and retention. In the case of long-term retention, which students discover concepts on their own, the learning experience is more meaningful and impactful. So when the students self-discover the process, it strengthens their neural connection and improve long-term retention. Another advantage of this teaching method would be improved problem solving and discovery skill. Well, in the instance of pattern recognition, where students analyze specific examples and identify developing their analytical and critical thinking skills. Now, the disadvantages of this, well, the disadvantages, of this method would be it is time consuming and resource intensive. It requires extensive planning by the teacher, and she also needs to have enough resources and design engaging scenarios to facilitate student learning and discovery. Another disadvantage of this method would be it requires strong facilitation skills from the teacher. In the case of adaptability, teacher may need to be flexible and adjust their approach method based on the student pace and understanding. Another disadvantages of the inductive method would be it can be challenging for young learners or less experienced learners. Say for example, you give an assignment on a given topic, but the learners aren't exposed to that content or material as yet. They won't be able to know what to conclude or what answer to prescribe. So the advantages of the deductive teaching method. The advantages of the deductive teaching method, it is efficient teaching large groups and complex concepts. It saves time by directly presenting the rule or concept, allowing for quicker application and practices. Another advantage of the deductive teaching method would be it provides clear structure and guidance for learners. This structural approach helps learners follow a logical sequence, making the learner process more organized and easier to understand. It quickly introduces foundational knowledge. Now, the disadvantage of the deductive teaching method, it may lead to passive learning on the student behalf and they aren't fully engaged. Since the teacher is the main source of information being disseminated, the students will become reliable and, independent and dependent, on the teacher to provide information and notes. Students, another disadvantage will be students may find it difficult to apply rules and to follow world world context. Another disadvantages of this method would be it does not foster discovery or exploration. Thank you for listening. That has brought me to my part where I have presented the advantages and disadvantages of the inductive and deductive teaching method. Thank you.
Good evening, Miss. Good evening, colleagues. I will now take you to the examples of inductive and deductive teaching methods. An example of inductive teaching method in maths is where a teacher teaches the topic number patterns. The teacher first writes a sequence 2468 on the board and asks students to observe those numbers. She then asks questions such as, what do you notice about these numbers? Do they increase or do they decrease? By how much do they change? The students then suggest answers such as the numbers are increasing, and some may even observe that each number is two more than the previous one. The teacher then asks, can you describe the rule or pattern? How would you find the next number? And students then deduce the rule, saying, add 2 to the previous number. The teacher then reinforces the pattern and challenges students to extend it to the sequence 10, 12, 14. Deductive teaching methods example in maths, where the topic area of a triangle is taught. The teacher first introduces the formula for area of a triangle, which is A is equal to half base times height. The teacher does a demonstration by solving an example. Example, if the base is 6 cm and the height is 4 cm, what is the area of that triangle? She works, A is equal to half base times 6 times 4, which is equal to 12 centimeters square. The teacher then gives students different values for the base and for the height and asks them to calculate the area of triangles. With the teacher's support, students solve problems by applying the formula to various scenarios. The teacher assigns additional problems so to solidify understanding. In concluding, both inductive and deductive teaching methods play an essential role in education. Inductive teaching method encourages discovery, fosters critical thinking, and allows students to construct knowledge through observation and reasoning. Deductive teaching methods, on the other hand, provide structure, clarity, and efficiency, ensuring that students grasp fundamental concepts quickly and apply them effectively. A balanced, blended approach that leverages the strength of both methods can create a dynamic learning environment, catering to diverse learning needs and maximizing overall education outcomes. Here are a list of our references. Thank you for listening.